"Come down," he murmured softly, gazing upward. "Just one drop. For her." Below in their hut, his grandmother lay still. Her lips were dry, her skin pale. She hadn't spoken in 2 days. Rain hadn't fallen in 7 moons. Not a mist. Not a tear from the clouds. They said Jaro's family was cursed, that ever since his father vanished into the fog as a child, the heavens had closed their eyes to their bloodline. But Jaro kept playing. Kept singing to the sky as if it could still hear him. As if someone up there still remembered what mercy was. Then one afternoon, as Jaro chased after a stubborn goat named Koma who had darted too close to a cliff, something strange happened. He shouted, slipped and landed face first in a thistle bush. As he groaned and pushed himself up, the sky above rumbled softly. Then something drifted down. Not a bird. Not a breeze. A cloud. A real, puffed, white cloud, floating low, as if it had lost its way. It hovered in front of Jaro's face, spinning slowly like a curious spirit. Instinctively, he reached out and the cloud stopped. With a heartbeat of hesitation, Jaro cupped his hands together. And the cloud settled into them. It felt like cool mist wrapped in cotton. Soft, alive, humming slightly. He blinked. Was he dreaming? Clouds didn't come this close. And they certainly didn't let themselves be caught. Panicking, he stuffed it into his leather water pouch. The goat bleated again, and the moment passed like a skipped breath. That night, he sat beside his grandmother and opened the pouch. Maybe he was delirious. Maybe the hunger had made him mad. But as the mouth of the pouch opened, a gentle mist poured out. Not vapor. Not smoke. Rain. Tiny droplets, real, sweet, quenching, dripped onto her forehead and lips. She stirred. Jaro's hands trembled. His heart pounded. He looked up at the thatched roof as if the sky might scold him, but nothing came. The next morning, the old woman's fever had broken. The news spread faster than fire on dry grass. "A boy who caught the clouds," they whispered. "A child blessed by the sky." They called him Healer. Rainborn. Whisperer. Jaro wasn't sure what to call himself. But that night, alone on the ridge, he looked up again. And the clouds looked back. That night, Jaro didn't sleep. He lay awake on the roof, staring at the sky, clutching the cloud pouch against his chest like a stolen secret. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the way the mist had curled out and kissed his grandmother's skin. Every time he breathed, he swore he could feel the cloud's heartbeat inside the pouch. Morning came painted in orange light and suspicion. The elders arrived at his door before the sun had warmed the stones. They didn't smile. "What did you do, boy?" asked Elder Sana, her voice as dry as her palms. "I just opened the pouch," Jaro replied. "Where did the cloud come from?" "It followed me." "Clouds do not follow shepherds," the elder snapped. "Unless they are being summoned." Jaro looked to the floor. He didn't have answers, only wonder. The old men muttered. The villagers peeked through doorways, hungry not just for rain but for miracles. That evening, Jaro climbed the ridge again, pouch in hand. He whispered a tune into the wind. It didn't take long. Another cloud drifted toward him, smaller, slower, but alive. It hovered beside him like a tame hawk, then gently dipped into the pouch without a sound. The next day, he tried again. And again. Each time, it worked. The clouds came. Like they were listening. Like they remembered his voice. Soon, Jaro became a secret. The boy who fed the earth at night. He moved from farm to farm, hidden in shadows, opening the pouch over the driest soil. The corn grew tall again. The wells tasted sweet again. He thought he was saving his people. He thought the sky would be proud. But the winds changed. The next night, as he reached out for a cloud above the western hill, it snapped away. Not drifted, snapped. Like something had yanked it back. Then thunder cracked. No rain. Just sound. Just fury. Jaro fell to his knees, covering his ears. From the clouds, a voice rolled down like a mountain sliding into the sea. "You take what is not yours." Jaro looked up in terror. The sky glowed not gold, not blue, but burning white. A shape began to form behind the clouds, massive, winged, with eyes like lanterns and hands of wind. He stumbled backward, pouch clutched tightly to his chest. Lightning struck the ridge beside him. He ran. That night, the winds howled across the village. No one slept. Trees bent like they were bowing to something unseen. The moon stayed hidden. The next morning, the rivers were still dry. But now, the sky was darker. Angrier. 3 days later, strange things began to fall from the sky. Feathers made of mist. Frozen droplets that never melted. Thunder that echoed names. One name, again and again. Jaro. The sky was hunting him. The first to call him Cloud Whisperer was a child. A small girl, no older than 10, ran up to Jaro after dawn, her eyes wide with wonder. "You talk to the clouds, don't you?" she asked. "They follow you." He had no answer, only a nervous smile. He never asked for titles. But names grow like weeds, especially in dry places. By the end of the week, everyone in the village had one name on their tongue: Jaro. Some offered him fruit. Others knelt. A few left gifts at his doorstep: feathers, polished stones, a carved staff. But not everyone celebrated. The elders watched him from the shadows with eyes narrowed like storm clouds. One morning, Elder Sana gripped his wrist with a trembling hand. "You think the sky gives gifts for free?" she hissed. "You think rain comes without a cost?" Jaro gently pulled away. "It's only clouds," he said. "No one owns them." "You fool," she whispered. "The gods do." But by then, it was too late. The night air had become his ally. With every moonrise, Jaro climbed the ridges, pouch in hand, calling to the mists. He found fog drifting low in the valleys, dew clinging to tall grasses, wisps of cloud sneaking through mountain passes. He captured them all. He was fast, gentle, precise. By morning, he would slip through the fields, sprinkling life over shriveled roots and cracked soil. The green returned. The people smiled. But far above the clouds something shifted. The sky dimmed. The thunder changed. It no longer rolled, it trembled. Lightning struck empty fields without a single drop of rain. Crops began to bloom and die within days, unable to understand what season it was. The birds flew in strange patterns. The moon began rising too early, too red. Then came the lights. They arrived one night in silence, no wind, no footsteps, just glowing shapes floating through the village, trailing ribbons of light behind them. They stopped at Jaro's home, hovering above the roof like spirits of storm. He stepped outside, barefoot, heart racing. One of them lowered itself. Its body shimmered like water reflecting stars, and its voice came not from its mouth but from the air all around him. "You have broken the rhythm," it said. "And the sky does not forget." Jaro clenched his fists. "I only wanted to help. We were dying. No one came." "Because each land has its portion," it replied. "Its share. This is the law of the Cloud Treaty. One breach leads to imbalance." The other beings circled, glowing brighter. The treaty was written in thunder, sealed with wind, and balanced through time. You have stolen what belonged to others. Rain meant for deserts. Mist promised to islands. You have robbed the world. Jaro's mouth was dry. "I didn't know." The creature's eyes flickered like twin stars. "Ignorance does not protect you. And now, others have noticed." The light faded. The next day, the skies boiled. Not with storm but with something worse. Stillness. No breeze. No birdsong. No movement. The air hung heavy with threat. People looked up, expecting rain, but none came. Instead, clouds floated high and silent like sentinels, as if watching. That night, Jaro climbed the ridge again, but the clouds didn't come. They avoided him, now pulling away the moment he sang. Then a shadow moved across the stars. A giant shape like a hand, a wing, a blade drifted through the sky, blotting out light. And behind it, voices. Not one, not 10 but hundreds. Thousands. The sky realms were stirring. And somewhere among them, a name echoed louder than thunder. Jaro. He wasn't just a shepherd anymore. He was the thief. And the gods were coming. The winds had grown sick. Each gust carried a weight Jaro could feel in his bones, like the world itself was holding its breath. Crops had stopped growing. Birds no longer sang. Children woke from nightmares they couldn't explain. And Jaro, he could feel the clouds watching him. Then came the vision. It arrived like a flash of silver light in his mind, a storm behind his eyes. A mountain of sky. A throne made of lightning. And on it, a figure wounded, glowing faintly, calling out without sound. Clydias, the sky guardian. A forgotten god of rain, once revered, now fading. Jaro woke gasping. The wind whispered, "Come." That night, he climbed the highest peak he knew, clutching the pouch now heavy with regret. The wind lifted, swirling around him, faster and faster until the ground vanished. He wasn't falling. He was rising. The pouch in his hand shone brightly. Wisps of vapor wrapped around him like wings, pulling him into the heavens. Through layers of light, mist, and memory, until the clouds below looked like cracked porcelain. He had entered the celestial divide. What he saw was nothing like the tales. Vast floating platforms shaped like gears, spinning endlessly in the sky. Cloud forges, where rain was hammered like silver coins. Storm chambers, echoing with the cries of thunder beasts. Spirit vaults, where imprisoned cloud spirits drifted silently in glass spheres, eyes dim. And then he saw him. Clydias, the fading sky god, slumped beneath a torn banner of wind, body scorched by light. "You summoned me," Jaro said, stepping forward. Clydias lifted his head. "No, you summoned them first. The clouds. You broke the pact." "I didn't mean to." "I know," Clydias said weakly. "But the sky is law. And now, Tarun moves." At the sound of the name, the clouds above trembled. "Tarun?" Jaro asked. "The drought bringer. The god cast out. He waits for imbalance, so he can seal the skies, forever." Clydias extended a trembling hand. "He feeds on what you've done. You must return the clouds. All of them." Jaro looked down at the pouch. It pulsed like a beating heart. "But not from here," Clydias added. "You must return them from the sky route." "And where is that?" Clydias pointed to the black spire rising through the heavens, where no clouds dared float. There, at the tip of all sky, stood Tarun. And he was waiting. The journey to the spire cut through frozen wind corridors and lightning rivers. Jaro flew on streams of cloudlight, guided by silent wind spirits. They did not speak, but they watched. At the gates of the spire, the clouds parted like fearful servants. Tarun stood tall. His body was made of cracked stone and flickering flame, with a cloak of ashen eyes like dying suns. "So," he said, his voice echoing like a drought, "this is the thief." "I came to return what I took," Jaro said, lifting the pouch. Tarun stepped closer. "Why return it? You've tasted power. Keep it. Rule the clouds. Let the earth worship you." "I don't want to be worshipped," Jaro said. "Then rule them out of mercy," Tarun whispered. "Give rain to your village. Starve others. Choose who lives and who withers. Be a god, just like us." Jaro's hands shook. For a moment, he saw it: his people fed, his fields golden, his name etched in stars. But then he saw the sky, breaking, shouting, burning. He saw balance cracking. Jaro took the pouch, held it high, and ripped it open. The sky exploded in color. Clouds burst from the pouch like 1,000 freed spirits, roaring with joy and rage. They danced into the sky, returning to their rightful paths, weaving together rainstreams across continents. Tarun screamed as mist consumed him, stripping away his power like water on fire. He shrank, withered, and was dragged back into the void. The spire cracked. Jaro fell. But the clouds caught him. Gently, they lowered him down through sunlight and storms until he touched earth again, drenched but alive. The skies cleared for the first time in months. Rain fell like music. Trees bent in thanks. Rivers sang. And the people gathered around the boy who fell from the sky. He said nothing. He didn't need to. They already knew. He was the one who stole the clouds. But more importantly, He was the one who gave them back. The sky didn't just rain, it wept. Not in sadness, but in release. Clouds streaked across the world like wild spirits let loose, roaring with thunderous joy as they poured water onto dry forests, cracked deserts, dead rivers. Flowers bloomed where they hadn't in years. Water trickled through ancient riverbeds. Even the birds forgot their fear and returned to dance in the air. From faraway islands to distant highlands, people looked up in awe. Something had changed. In the mountain village where the story began, the elders stood in silence as rain soaked their robes. Children laughed, mouths open to the sky. Goats stomped in muddy joy. Crops rose from the earth like they had never known drought. And Jaro floated down. He hovered for a moment above the ridge, arms limp at his sides, his body cradled in a swirl of mist. The clouds lowered him gently to the earth like one of their own. He collapsed to his knees, soaked, gasping, every muscle trembling. He had fallen from the celestial divide. But it wasn't over. The wind still carried something strange. Not danger but uncertainty. Because balance had been restored. Too quickly. Clydias had warned of a cycle. That every act in the sky leaves a ripple. That even mercy, when forced, comes at a price. Jaro didn't know what that price was yet. But he could feel it. His pouch was empty now. The leather soft, limp, lifeless. His gift, if it had ever been a gift, was gone. And yet, the clouds hadn't abandoned him. They circled above, lazily spinning, gentle in motion. No longer obeying, but watching. Like old friends who had seen him fall, and rise, and fall again. Jaro stood, weak but awake. Around him, villagers approached slowly, reverently, like they were approaching the sky itself. No one spoke at first. Until a child broke through the crowd. The same girl who once called him Cloud Whisperer. She held out a single pebble, wet and warm. "For you," she said. Jaro looked at it, then up to the clouds. They weren't leaving. Not yet. And neither was the story. The earth drank like it had been waiting 100 years. Rain rolled down hills and into sleeping streams. Rivers blinked awake and stretched into the valleys. Wells overflowed. Dust became mud. Mud became life. Villagers ran from their homes not to hide from the rain, but to dance in it. Children stomped and slipped and shouted to the clouds like old friends who had finally come home. Laughter echoed off the mountain walls. Goats bleated in confusion and joy. Trees seemed to breathe. Flowers burst open mid-rainfall, colors so bright they almost glowed. The sky, once heavy with threat, now pulsed with soft light. It shimmered in hues of silver and pale blue, like it too had been freed. And at the center of it all stood Jaro. Drenched, silent, watching. He didn't raise his arms. He didn't call to the clouds. He simply stood barefoot in the mud, his empty pouch slung at his side, eyes wide with something between relief and reverence. The people gathered slowly, reverently. No one shouted his name. They didn't need to. His presence was enough. He was no longer the boy who stole clouds. He was the one who returned them. An elder stepped forward, hands raised toward the sky, whispering an old prayer no one had said in years. Another followed. Then another. The whole village spoke the words, ancient and trembling, voices lifting into the rain like smoke. The clouds listened. A small girl tugged on Jaro's soaked tunic. He looked down. Her hair clung to her face. Her eyes were bright. "Can you still steal clouds?" she asked. Jaro paused. The clouds above shifted gently, parting just enough for a streak of sunlight to fall across his face. He smiled not with pride, but with something gentler. Something wiser. "Only if they let me," he said. The wind curled around his shoulders like a quiet answer. Behind him, high above, far beyond what the eye could see, something moved once more in the sky realms. Not in anger this time, but in interest. Balance had been restored. But the clouds were watching again. And they remembered his name.